All right. Let me minimize this. Okay, so welcome. Today is something I've been wanting to do for a little while because I kind of do this kind of thing every day. I get on Modular Grid and kind of move my stuff around and then see if I can evolve my system into something better, smaller, tighter, more efficient. And as I get more into modular, I'm starting to notice things are definitely changing a lot. Let me make sure my levels are good here. Check. Yep. Okay, cool. Um, so what I'm going to do today is just kind of shrink my rack as much as possible while maintaining as much functionality and the sound as possible. So it actually go through a few stages. Could try and take it down to like 84 HP and then take it all the way down to just like a little teeny tiny rack with not as much functionality and stuff, but still a good sounding thing. So if you're into modular or want to get into modular, I definitely recommend getting on Modular Grid, the first account. When you make an account, it's free, and just make a rack just for fun. You can also see other artists' racks, like Tony Surgeon's racks are on here. People have cloned them. I think Jocko's rack is in the top 10. Richard Devine's rack. Is it Divine or Devine? I'm not sure, but yeah. And so like, get in here, you can check out, see what everybody else is using, and then try and figure out why they're doing what they're doing. And so yeah, it's really fun. So you get in here, you can type in the name of something. You can search things by manufacturer or function, which is really handy. You can sort things, which I just noticed the other day. Been on here for like over a year, and I just noticed you could sort these by different things. But yeah, and this is pretty much every module that's been made. There's even discontinued stuff on here, and it's like an infinite. It's not infinite, but it's pretty huge. There's a huge pool of stuff, and you just get in here and you can throw stuff in your rack. And then you can also estimate the cost of it. And then another important thing is the power supply, how much power consumption it's going to take, et cetera, et cetera. And the other important thing is just moving stuff around and then seeing how much space you have. So let me take this out, for example. And then so I can grab this right here and see I have 12 HP there. So you don't have to sit there and count, do all this stuff on paper. It's super handy, so definitely recommend Modular Grid. The free account is a little limited, but plenty to start out with. You can only make so many racks, but then a yearly membership, which upgrades, you get a lot more features and stuff. So cool. We got a few viewers in here. Feel free to chat, make suggestions as I shrink this rack down. Yeah, so this should be kind of fun. I've done it a few times before, so just kind of want to share it with everybody. So first things first, let's eliminate what's not needed. So we don't need this USB thing. Actually, you know what? This is the current setup. I should duplicate this rack. So I'm going to go up to edit, duplicate the rack. Okay, much better. So I can keep my other rack. Okay, cool. And you know what? I don't need this pedal. This is a pedal interface, so let's take this out. Stereo mixer, let's leave that for now. Duat, which is a dual attenuator. This is a multi-effects 1U. So this is a mult, a 1U unbuffered mult, which means it's not powered. And I can actually use, instead of that, there's the little cable versions. There's like a little splitter. When in my streams, it's like, oh, here you go, this thing right here. I'm going to have to unpatch anyways, but yeah, so you can actually use one of these right here, and it does the exact same thing. So this one goes 1, 2, 2, 4, 5, 1 to 5. So this is basically two of those in that one module. So let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need a scope, so let's take the scope out. So interesting, we only have a few things here. Yeah, so let's move those over. Yep. Okay. And so this is 104 HP minus 50, which is what? 54. So maybe we could shoot for that. Actually, let's take a look at, let's see, how big is the IntelliGel palette? Actually, I think it's 60. Is it 62? Yep, 62. So maybe we can make 62 HP our goal. Okay, so this is dB25 breakout from the mixer. Technically, we don't need it, so let's get rid of that. Muscle compressor, very essential to the sound. Overseer is a DJ style filter. And if you need to find out individual information about a module, you can just hit the I and get more in depth. But I'm just going to go through this quick, and then we'll go through the search process later to find some other stuff. Tritone EQ. So before, well, currently I'm using these as my master bus EQs in stereo. So let's go ahead and delete those because I can use this 4 HP EQ, which is the scalpel from WMD. All right, so that's the same functionality. The only difference is this is digital. Those tritones are EQ. I think they sound a little better, I think. I hope it's not placebo. The cool thing about this is it can also run as dual mono, and then you can morph between like two, I think it's like up to 5 different EQs. So you can set them and then just like change between them, which is interesting. So I'm actually going to experiment with that later to see if the scalpel can replace the overseer. So I'd run 2 tritones plus the scalpel instead of the overseer because I'm using this 410 to control the overseer as opposed to using this knob. So overseer for me, the only thing I use it for is a stereo low cut and high cut as well. That's just for drops and stuff. Okay, moving along. The FX Aid, yes, that's my main reverb, amazing sounding unit, so let's leave that. Chronoblob 2 is actually out of my current rig. So let's go find another delay. And since we're interested in, let's see, size, let's just do delay. So I'm going to go to function, whoops, delay. And let's sort these by popularity just to see what everybody's using. So that's another cool thing is like the more a module gets used in racks, it shows up in like the top 100 on the first page. So it's really interesting. Check how many viewers. Okay, 2 viewers. One of them is probably me. It's cool. This is fun. Yep. So if you're watching, if you have any questions, comments, definitely feel free. Okay, so as you get more into modular, you start seeing a lot of these modules more as well, and you kind of start figuring out what they do. You can just watch videos on them. So I would say let's try and find a delay that's around the 4 to 6 HP range. Oh, what's up, Kevin? Yo. Oh, I'll just talk to you here. I can see you in the chat. What's up, man? We're basically what I'm doing here is just shrinking the size of my rack to see if I can make it cost less, and then also just make it smaller in general. So right now I'm looking for a delay unit, dual looping delay. That's been on the radar. I'm actually replacing the Chronoblob with a Chaos Devices Sarajevo. Did I say that right? I think I said it right. An easy solution would be just to put in a second FX Aid, but tell you what, there's a BBD delay made by Pittsburgh Modular. So let's just get that thing. Yep, and it's only 6 HP, so let's throw that in there. So basic delay, it's analog, so that makes it cooler. A little darker. Okay, so this is 2 HP sample. What is it called? 2 HP play. It's a sample player. I'm running this to play a vinyl sound, just the crackle in the background, just to add like another layer to my stuff. So we'll get back to this. Okay. So interesting, Erica cymbals. I use it for a ride. So a couple options are, we could, let's reset this. We could use a sampler because on the TR-909, the kick, the snare, and the clap and the toms are analog, but the cymbals are all samples. So let's check out a sampler. And there's one in particular that I already know about that could be pretty cool. It's the Tip Top 1. But I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm gonna replace 2 of these modules. So let's replace the Erica cymbals and the Hats D, which is the 909 hat. We're gonna replace it with the Rample. from Squarp Instruments. It's only 14 HP. It's also it's got 4 outputs, so can run 4 different samples. So we got our ride, we got our hat. We could do open hat. You can also CV the envelope, so you could open and close your hat with CV. So so we can do open hat. Let's do closed hat. Yeah, let's just do multiple hats. And then here it's clap. You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead. Since we're thinking about size, let's get rid of the clap, and we'll run the clap on the rample. So there we just took what, 26 HP and put it down to 14. So that's pretty cool. Fold 6. This is pretty essential to the kick drum, but I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it, and we're gonna use the onboard saturation distortion on the mod bass, or we could get another kick drum sample or a kick drum module. Let's see, reset, and let's see, drum. And then let's sort these by HP. So we do want a 909 style kick drum. Let's do smallest to biggest. Okay. It's funny because yes, you could replace everything with 2 HP modules and have a really tiny setup. The one thing though is like the ergonomics. I really hate these small knobs, so I don't like touching these knobs very much. It's just kind of harder to tweak and stuff. Also Pico Drums is really good. Let's see, analog kick. I have no idea who this is, but it's analog kick and 3 HP. That's pretty cool. So digital samples. Okay, so let's make a little requirement. Let's make it analog. This is cool. I think it's like Lindrum samples, but it's all sample based. So let's do analog kick. So there's a BD 808. That's like a booming kick. So let's find the 909 one. So let's see which 909 kick comes up first. That is analog. So there's a tip top one from before, but maybe we'll come back to that. You know, I'm just going to add a couple, and we can just put them in the background for now. Not sure about these ones, these analog. I don't know if they're analog or not. The proc drums come highly recommended. They are digital. They have an interesting thing where you can like morph between the grid. So that's interesting. Snare drum. Okay. All right, we're getting close. T-kick. I heard that T-kick is really good. I don't know much about it. It's also 5 HP though. It makes it really, the odd number HP stuff like really just makes things harder to work with, because then you have to have another odd number module. Cool. Analog drum, 6 HP drum module. Haven't heard of this company though. Asteroid. I've heard of this company. Blue Lantern modules. Sonic, they make a 606 hat. That's supposed to be one of the better ones. I don't know about these 1 HP. These could be cool. These could be interesting. All right. We're getting, okay, Kickoff from Bafaco. Maybe. Let's not. Tell you what, I'm going to go with one I'm familiar with. Let's do, okay, let me scroll back up to the top here. Let's do a Tip Top 909. So I'm going to search manufacturer, Tip Top. Tip Top 909 kick. Where you at? BD 909. Okay, cool. So this is 8 HP. So that's a little smaller. It's a little smaller than this. All right, let's move these over to the side. Little cat always comes up. I hate this cat. He comes up all the time. Just like gets in the way. Especially on mobile, it's like ugh. All right, so we're gonna bump the mod bass 09 out. So let's get that out. Let's throw this 909 kick. Boom. Let's see how wide this is. Okay. I wish there was a function that just like slammed everything to the left. It's okay though. And you know what? Actually, let's see. Kick, snare, clap, hat, ride, sample, playback. So let's get rid of this 2 HP play. Swing that over. So the key components to my setup are really, it's divided into, I think, 4-ish sections. So I got a mixer section, got a little modulation thing going. I got the voice section. So this is the sub. Oh, there we go. This is the sub. This is the lead. These are the sequencers, so these trigger both of those. We got a clock, and then the drum section, and then a master section. So drum, master, mixer, voices is kind of just how I break my setup down. All right, so let's see how wide this is. Oh, it's not going to tell me. I'm going to refresh this. Sometimes you got to do that. Modular grid's really finicky with this kind of thing. So let's see. How wide is that? It's not going to tell me. One more time. Refresh. Okay, you know what? We're just going to delete you. All right. Now it should tell me. Come on. There you go. 48. So 104 minus 48. What is that? I can't do math. So 56. Is that 56? 56. Yep, 56. So we're 56 HP wide. This is smaller than the palette. Interesting. And let's keep the clock. Let's keep the PAMs workout for the clock. Okay. So let's reduce the size of this mixer. There's a few ways to go about this. This mixer does so many things, and it's kind of the core of my setup. But let's choose a smaller mixer. Let's do the Erica mixer. They have drum mixers, and they have one aux send, I believe it is. So this is the bigger one. There's a smaller one. It also has a built-in compressor / limiter, so that actually lets us reduce even more. Drum mixer light. So this has 6 ends, and this has. Let's go with this one for now. It's a little bigger. It's okay. We can make it smaller later. All right, and let's get rid of this mutes module. All right. So these synth voices are actually pretty small for what they do, especially this A1116. So let's leave that. Let's check these, peep these. You know what? We could remove one Pico Seek. I think the Pico Seek SY05 combo is like the best subline combo that has ever existed. Literally, you just set this to 1 or 2 octaves in its range, and then you hit the random button, and then it makes a crazy subline. And literally, I just press the button, and it just makes something awesome. So let's keep that combo going. Move this over, see where we're at HP wise. We got the 410. Let's go ahead and remove that. We don't need that. And that's just like a convenience thing. So 39. Why are we at 39? Oh, because the one little thing here. Okay, and this is a mult. Okay, so this is unbuffered, so we don't need that. Yep. Fun. 41. What's 104 minus 41? 63? Oh, is it 63? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and shrink this down. Let's shrink the case down to, what do we say? Palette was 62? Is this hanging over? Yep, it's hanging over 1. Okay. Cool. Interesting. So let's see. And a palette's also only one of these rows, but for fun, let's just say it was this big. So there we go. I mean, to start with, let me double check on the mixer here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we got too many. We can use the onboard mixer on the rample to mix the 4 down to 1. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a mono delay. 6, 7. Stereo reverb. Oh, that's so sick. So we got exactly what we need. We got auxiliary out. So we're going to go from the 1 aux out into the delay, into the reverb, and into our master section. So interesting. All right, so voltage block. Let's obviously this is taking up a huge amount of space, so let's shrink that down. What can we do here? Voltage block. CV modulation. Yep. And let's shrink this down, or we'll go this way. Find something smaller. I know one in particular, which is going to be Similar, pretty comparable. Oh, if this is all Erica synth, sorry. Reset. CV, modulation. Who's in here? 4 concurrent. Oh, we got 4 viewers. Cool. Yeah, anybody feel like making suggestions or have any comments, just let me know. Just let me know in the chat. So now we're looking for CV modulation to replace a voltage block. I know that's pretty hard to do because voltage block is pretty fully featured. One thing I can say, if we go into the random kind of thing, let's use the mimetic digitalis. So let's use mimetic. Okay, this is a 16-step CV sequencer, and it has 5 CV outs. So, boom. Got that shrunken down. Okay, so technically, I've kind of like shrunken the rack that I had into this right here. Let's see if I can open up another window modular. Command. So this is it this one? Yep. This is the setup from the last stream, and we've pretty much taken most if not all of the functionality and shrunk it down to this. Not terrible. I could live with that. What is this? 62 HP wide. So you could do 84, and you can like expand these, make these a little bigger. But you know what? Let's take it further. Let's see. Let's try and make it into the palette, the actual palette. So the palette is 2 rows. And this is a lot to ask of a setup, to do drums, to have a master section, to do voices as well. Typically, once you get this small, you're just working with like synth voices, and you're not doing drums and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a fun exercise. I enjoy doing this. It just makes it interesting. And sometimes you discover a few things, like as you're researching modules, you can discover like, hey, this module looks interesting. You watch some videos and you're like, oh, well, I could replace what I have with that. And, it just makes space for other stuff. That's why my rack is continually evolving. So something I forgot to mention is that this thing has an onboard compressor limiter, this Erica mixer. Let's see what it is. Built-in Vactual-based compressor. Yep. And then it has some compressor. So you got the amount and then a release time. So we can take out this muscle, which is just a dedicated compressor. All right. So I'm just going to move this here. Let's shrink this down some more. Overseer DJ style filter. So to multitask with this, let's use, I'm not sure if it'll do it, but I think it will. Let's say we have our boosted, like high and low boost as EQ setting 1. It'll morph between settings. So then we can make setting 2 will be the low cut. And let's use that. So we could just morph between the 2 settings. Instead of doing high pass, low pass on the master. So let's drop that in there. Okay, reverb and delay. So interesting thing is the FX Aid, the library has so many effects in there that you can use, and there's effects that go from delay. It's a delay in addition to a reverb. So it'll send to a delay and then send it to a reverb. So let's go ahead and delete this this Pittsburgh modular BBD delay. It's analog, so that sucks. Bye-bye. Cool, and we only have one aux send on here anyway. And I believe the way that this mixer sends to the auxes is you flip the switch. So you have to, I think it's by row too. So like in 3, 6, like it'll send to the aux on both of those. So let's do that right there. The sampler, the drum samples. Okay. So in the interest of making things smaller, let's go ahead and get rid of the rample. So that was taking care of clap, hat, ride. So let's see. Let's find smaller drums. and try not to lose too much functionality. We are going to lose the functionality. We'll go there. But let's see. So if we did 3 of these tip tops, that would actually, so that would be 12 HP versus the 14. So we drop 2 HP. Let's drop the kick drum. Actually, let's drop all those and then put the rample back in. So we lost it. Now we got it. Come on. There you go. Let's put the rample back in. So we'll go kick, clap, hat, ride. So those are all our drums. All right. So rample is back in. Sequencer. Okay. So interesting thing about the Pamela's new workout, is it can send out, and I did it for a long time, it just sends out steady. It can send out Euclidean rhythms, but I was using it to send out just a quarter note kick drum, because I'm never gonna, rarely ever change that. So I would set one of the outputs just to output like a quarter note gate. So let's get rid of launch codes. We won't need this anymore. So that'll take care of the kick. Let's say our claps were on 2 and 4. Let's say that was pretty much it. So we could leave that. Pam's 2, output 2 could do that. The 3 would be hats. So let's say that was either upbeat 8ths or 16th notes. So 3 could do that. And then the ride is pretty much always 8th notes. Yeah, so there you go. We got our drum sequences there just for basic techno. And we'll shrink it down even more. Don't worry. So that's our drum section. And then now let's get to the voices. So I'm still stuck on this, the Pico Seek and the SY05, but we're going to have to lose it pretty soon. Let's get rid of this FX aid. Some utility up here. Oh yeah, we haven't even used the utility up here. So right now let's run the kick drum out into here, into, what is the thing? Multi-FX, I think it is. There you go, Intelligent Multi-FX 1U. So I currently run the kick into this in my setup to get the rumble kick verb. Let's do a check here. Cool, still got 4 people watching. I'm talking a lot. Hang on a sec. Okay. All right, so we got clock. So we got clock out of here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 for our drums, and then we got clock out. We can mult that if we need to. And then the gate. So this will go out into the trigger of the SY05, and the CV is going to do the pitch. So that's how we get the pitch in there. But we don't have a lead voice. So let's pull out let's pull out another Pico Seek just for the sake of keeping it simple. Oh no, 2 HP. Oh, we need a synth voice and 2 HP. I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, cool. Yeah. So what's up, Mr. Fang? I'm assuming it's Mr. Fang. Is it He Fang? Is that how I say it? Yeah. So rumble kick. There's 2 ways to do it. Since I've had the mod bass 09, I would just run it. Okay, so I'll just tell you what my setup is. So mod bass 09, so we got kick drum, goes into the fold 6, which is a wave folder. Think of it like distortion overdrive, and that really brings it forward a lot. And then I go out of here into, currently it's going into this multi-FX 1U on the reverb setting. The thing is, hang on. So on the reverb setting, and then the tone, you can adjust that down. It does go low enough, which is important. That's why I didn't just get the, there's an IntelliGel 1U reverb. It's smaller, but this one has tone control, and it's also stereo in case I ever needed that. And then I adjust the wet dry to taste. Now, the thing I found is that it kind of really doesn't matter which reverb you use as long as you have control over the tone. So you need to cut the highs to get it down to subsonic, sub frequencies. And this one will do it. before I was also running, I did the same combo, 09 to Fold 6 into the FX aid. So the FX aid used to be over here, the small one, and that has a tone control as well. It didn't quite go low enough, but it was low enough. It did the job for a while. But I was looking elsewhere, but it kind of held me over for a while, until this 1U thing came in. Now, I did email Happy Nerding, and the main guy, it's either Ivan or Igor, messaged me back, said I was like, hey, we need an algorithm for a reverb that has a high cut that goes low enough for rumble kick, Techno rumble kicks. And super cool, man. He messaged me back and was like, yep, I'm working on that, so there'll be a few more coming out soon. So FX8 is continually supported, which is super awesome, and that's coming. So yeah, that's it. And then the second way to do it, I was doing it with the Erica bass drum. You just get an LFO, and then you just CV it to the pitch, I believe it was. Let me see. So let's pull up the Erica bass drum. Okay. And that would go, yep. And so I would do it to the pitch CV. So you just put the LFO to the pitch CV, and then there's your control right there. Is that an attenuator? I think that's an attenuator to the pitch CV. And then so you would run that, and then to lower the pitch even more, you would run your LFO into an offset, which you could do in the Pamela's new workout. You could send it to the CV input, and then it would output out of one of these, and then you could drop the offset. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you're into modular, then yeah, you got it. I'm assuming nobody there's no prior knowledge, but so just LFO, CV offset, and then drop that to the pitch. And that gives you that rumble. There's the tutorials. Riemann Collection has the tutorials on the LFO thing, and then also Ben Key, he has some tutorials. Ben Key Techno. So that's the way to get it. Okay, so let's go back. We're shrinking things down. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions here. We still need to fit this synth voice in. Yep, no problem. Thanks for asking some questions. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of viewers. 8 viewers, cool. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and drop this variegate. I'm not going to need that. Mimetic Digitalis. So for the sake of using a smaller one, there's a Vox Digitalis, which is, I think it's one. It's just one channel of the. Yeah, this funny thing. This modular grid is so finicky. Like, I can't type in. My V key doesn't work, so you have to refresh. Maybe it's a Mac thing. Who knows? All right, Vox Digitalis. So this is 1 HP of that. Or not 1 HP. 1 voice of the... What happened here? Why do I have a bunch of A116s? 11116s. Okay, let's get rid of that. Looks like some stuff got duplicated. I bet you there was some shortcut is what it was doing. Okay, so we kind of have an issue here. Got to figure out how to make this smaller. Okay, let's drop this mixer. There's another Erica mixer, which is similar. Mixer Lite. Properly named. And move that over. Okay. Not quite enough for this voice here. So, I was trying to avoid it for a really long time, but I think we're going to have to go into Pico land. So, yeah, 2 HP, the 2 HP modules and the Erica Pico stuff, like these little knobs here, I don't enjoy using those if I have to like turn them and tweak stuff. It's not fun. Even this FX aid, like the tiny one, it's so small and the knobs are so close together. It makes it really hard to like do anything with those knobs. So I like this because it's set and forget, because I usually have it set it to reverb. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to go into Pico land. All right, so let's get rid of this. So now it's gonna really shrink. But you know what? Before we do that, let's see. How much space do I get here? Okay, I got 6 HP. We need a synth voice and 6 HP. Does that exist? I don't know. So difference between synth voices and stuff, which I'm finding out now. Synth voice has everything built in, so it'll have like a oscillator, a filter, everything. So that like that is the whole thing in that module. Whereas like typically when people make a modular setup, they have everything broken out into like highly specialized and feature-rich modules. So like instead of having oscillator, filter, and all this stuff, this will be like 10 modules broken out into a huge thing, and then you have like control over each little thing. So that's more modular, of I guess what it is and should be. Like I said, my approach has been Groovebox based. So I was trying to keep things compact for this setup right here, as compact as possible, and so like that's why I have this as a module, because everything else is taking up so much space, right? Okay, let's see. We need a voice and 6P. Okay, so this is a cool feature. So you can hit how wide you want it to be. You want it to be 6. Let's do exact. Let's see. Oh, there are plenty. There's a few. Okay, so if you know anything about modular, you've probably heard of Mutable Instruments. They've made the clouds. There's a whole bunch of modules they made that are super popular. So I'm going to assume that the plates, and that's what that is. The plates is a good oscillator. It's a good voice. So let's just make that assumption. And what we could do is what I would do is be like, oh, that's interesting. I would go on YouTube and watch some videos about this and see if it sounds good, if it has all the features I need. Actually, you can just go in here and read. 8 synthesis models, got FM operators. Does it have filter? I don't know. It doesn't matter because we're about to shrink this thing even more. So cool. Why does it keep doing this? Oh no. Hang on. Refresh. So okay, cool. All right. So there's our Techno rack. It's starting to get a little cramped. A little small. Who's in here? Cool. We still got some people in here. Okay, so remember, we're going from this to something way smaller. And these modules aren't actually doing anything. We haven't assigned them to anything yet. What you could do with this dual attenuator, and which I use it for in the current setup, is you could have just additional knobs to control the volume. So like we could do the individual outs, and then those actually, the A and B will mix together into one output, so you could use that. You can attenuate your CV, so that's another way you can use it. So yeah, I mean, there's different cool things you could do with those modules up there. But for sake of exercise, let's go into Pico land. All right, so we need to replace 4 drum sounds. Uh-oh. Whoops. All right. Yep. 4 drum sounds. Let's go Ericsson's function drum. Okay. How many drums? This is 1 drum, it looks like, but it has CV modulation. Okay, cool. There's another module they have, Pico Drums, yep, which does 2 drums. Okay, so it's got 2 triggers, so you got 2 drums. You can flip between drum 1 and 2, and then it mixes them to 1 output. So, okay, there's our 4 drums in, get this, 6 HP. What the freak? And for the sequencer, let's get rid of Pam's. We're in Pico land now. There's a sequencer. There's a tiny drum sequencer. Where are you at? It's not the Pico Seek. It's not this one. There's another one. Oh, where's it at? Hang on. It's coming. It's so funny. The thing's so small. Pico BBD delay, analog delay. That's interesting. I bet you that sounds pretty good. But again, you know, like I said, like, are you going to tweak the time with these tiny knobs? It's not very fun. Not for a lot of tweaking. Maybe if it's like set and forget, it wouldn't be so bad. All right. Where is it at? Pico trigger. That's it right there. 3 HP is so funny. Oh, it's wild. Okay, so check this out. The Erica Pico Trig. It holds a limited number of patterns. I know this because I had one briefly. It does 4 gate trigger outs, and you edit the patterns with like a web interface Chrome extension. I think it's a web interface. But it's pretty cool because it can do different lengths per sequence. So like this could be running at, you know, whatever 7/16. This could be running at 4/4, you know, regular 4/4, or it could be like, you know, 4 long. So you can adjust the length of each of these patterns, which is really cool individually. Yeah, web-based pattern designer, and you have 16 patterns. So as far as techno goes, honestly, you could probably get away with just like 1 or 2 patterns, and you're good, right? So yeah, that's kind of set and forget. Dang it. Let's see. Refresh. Come on. There we go. Okay, so there's our drums, our little drum section. That's so funny. We have the huge, it's now huge sub bassline generator, and now we have room to throw. Let's get rid of this plates. Let's throw this thing back in, the A1116. Actually, you know what? For fun, we're gonna go in acid territory, and we're not gonna use Erica synths. Let's use this was actually a module recommended to me by Trent over at Detroit Modular. He said it was an underrated 303 module. It's the EOWave Domino, and I almost picked this up. But the thing is like I already have a DB01 that I use and love, and so I wasn't really needing an acid voice. So I kind of passed on this for now. This is so funny. So tiny. So we got our little acid sequencer. We got our little sub bassline generator. We got some reverb. And let's see. Let's do a channel check, channel count. So we got 4 drums coming, 2 outputs, 3, 4. And then we got a stereo reverb 5 and 6 with 1 aux out. Flip the switches to go to the auxes. And we have a master EQ / DJ filter. So if you just came in, got a few people in here. If you just came in, we're multitasking the scalpel as a DJ style low pass filter. What's cool about this is it can morph between settings. So like setting 1 will be like our, you know, high low boost, and then setting 2, we can flip over to setting 2, and that'll be our low cut. I haven't tested that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works and how it can work. I don't know about the time, like how long it takes to flip between the two. But if it's just a setting, then yeah, it should be fine. And here we go. We got our little CV modulation generator. We can throw that in there. But actually, you know what? That reminds me. Trent said that you do need a CV modulation, an extra, like on voltage block, an extra CV modulation channel for the EOWave to sound good. So let's go with that. Now, okay, so how big is this thing? 65. We were at what, 62? What is that? 53. So we're 53 HP wide, and we're not even using the 1U. So you know what? Let's dump the 1U. Get rid of that. Now let's edit this size down. What did I say? 57, 62. Yeah, 57. 57 HP wide. We only need 1 row. Boom. And let's do this style, just make it look cooler. Yeah, I gotta drag everything back in. Okay, so to recap, we got our trigger sequencer. We got our drums. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put our little sequencers over here, keep them all together. And the trigger sequencer actually has a clock output. So that's what we need. We need the clock output to go to the Pico Seeks. So we're gonna mult these. So to get clock to the Pico Seeks. And then we're going to put our drums. Should we do drums? Nah, let's do drums over here. Sub baseline generator, or sub baseline SY05. And then let's do the lead. Yeah, I feel like we should put the drums over there, but that's okay for now. Let's do this. CV modulation. And then we have to multi-clock over to this too, I believe. All right, drums. Yeah, drums should definitely be over on the left. Reverb, mixer to tie it all together, and an EQ. Cool. And this thing is still $2,000. Good grief. But you know what? I could be happy with this little thing. This is actually not too bad. Looks pretty good. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I guess the one inconvenience is having to use the web interface for this little trigger thing, but I mean, it's 3 HP wide, and it's not very expensive. $100. Yeah. So that's a lot of functionality coming out of there. Plus it has our clock output to sync all this stuff together, which is pretty important. So you're going to definitely need one of these passive mult things. You can do it on this. Okay, but you know what? We're not done yet. Let's shrink this thing down even more. Oh my gosh. What can we do? This keeps all the functionality of this bigger setup pretty much. I mean, there's a couple things that we're losing out on. But look at the price difference, and the number of modules. So you need a smaller case for this. You could probably get all this used as well. That would help save a lot. Let's see, viewers, 6 viewers. Cool. Just checking to make sure everybody's still there. All right. Yeah, let's take it to Pico land. Let's go all Pico and 2 HP. Why not? You know what? The first thing, let's do this sub bass thing. Let's see if we can find a small sub bass voice. And if not, we could use a filter. All right, small. Whoops. There we go. Yep. Let's do a Polyvox filter. The thing sounds pretty sick. Now we just need a voice. Okay, we got VCO with 32 waves. That could be good. So let's throw that up there. There's another voice, I think, in the Pico line. Let's see. 10 modulator. VCO 2. A full analog VCO. Bam. That's it. That's our sub bass right there. Forget this thing. All right. VCO, VCF. Oh, do we need an envelope too? Dang it. Yeah, we're going to need an envelope. Let's use a low pass gate. So low pass gate, I got interested in this actually for this other setup. Let's check this out. I'm going to show you. So this is what you just saw was the current setup, and what it's going to be is this over here. So as you can see, I've done the reduction exercise and changed out a few things. Let's give a second to load. And the main biggest change is this thing right here. The Piston Honda, which is a wavetable based voice, oscillator voice, and it's dual oscillator, which is going to be super cool. But it's an oscillator, so it needs an envelope and it needs a filter. But this thing right here, the Sync Bucina, the noise engineering, it's a low pass gate with a, as you can see right here, a variable slope filter. So it has a resonant filter, and it's just set to low pass. So what happens is you hit it with the gate, and depending on the voltage of that gate, depends on like the cutoff of where the filter is set. And then you have attack and release control. So like how long it takes to let that off, to let the filter off, and it closes the filter completely. So it's an interesting sound. It's different. One of my friends, Robot Dog, kind of took me through his low pass gates stuff, and it sounds really cool. And low pass gates are I guess coming into popularity. I don't know. I just see a lot more low pass gate happening. But it takes a really, a really like angry angry oscillator, just like a, you know, like a digital, like the high end. That's just a lot there, and it brings it down to earth and makes it sound really good. So this is when I called Detroit Modular, I was asking them, I was like, hey, you know, I've been using voices, and now I got to use this. I want to get a piston Honda, try it out, but I'm gonna need an envelope and a filter. So I was talking about the WMD Javelin, which is a envelope. Let me show you this thing. So this is an envelope, and what they were saying is that it actually it has a really quick envelope, and it also has an accent feature, so it gets kind of 303-ish, which is obviously very exciting for me and anybody into techno and that sound. So the Javelin, and then also is looking at the Carbon, which is also WMD. As you can tell, I really like WMD. Their build quality is really solid, and everything sounds really good. So, but yeah, this is just a variable filter, and it sounds pretty good. Another interesting one, some of the best filters. Some of the best filters out there is this thing, this MS22. It's a DIY kit, and also the guy builds them, Tritone, so you can buy them built, but it's always sold out. And the kit, there's some kits over on SynthCube, but you have to DIY and source some parts. But all the SMD, that stuff is soldered in already. So this is probably one of the best sounding filters in that size range. The Carbon is up there as well. And then the other one, which I also had before, is the Bastille Cinnamon. This is also a very dope sounding filter. It has a really like nice driven sound. Once you start turning up the input level, it kind of overdrives really nicely. It's a really good sounding filter, and a super easy build. If you've ever done DIY, I recommend this filter a lot. It's pretty simple. The instructions, and the Bastille instructions on the build is like super duper, like way over the top. Like they went and made sure that people could build this thing. It's really easy to build. So really, if you just know how to solder, figure out how to solder. If you don't know how to solder, figure out how to solder. There's a cool video on YouTube. I'm gonna pull that up just because this is an excellent video. So how to solder. Let's see. It was like a manufacturing demo, but yes, this one right here, basic soldering technique. This video is so good, and it's only like how long is this thing? 10 minutes, something like that. It's a pretty short video. Yeah, 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. So yeah, definitely recommend soldering. Maybe not on the kit at first. Get something like a little LED kit or something. Build something cool. And then once you get comfortable, build yourself a little Cinnamon. That's a very dope kit. Or just buy one. Buy the one that's already built, aluminum panel. That's super solid looking. And it doesn't cost that much more. And you know, the thing about DIY is people they look at how easy, once they figure out how to solder, they're like, oh yeah, I could buy these kits and sell them and make money. And like, honestly, it's not worth the time. It took many hours to build the kit, and it's not worth the return. You could just buy the build kit. So, yep. Either way. Anyways, so that's a really dope sounding filter. Another one, System 80, another top filter, but much bigger, is the Jove. So it's previously the Jove, and then there's a smaller version of this called the U-Jove, which I don't see up here. It's also a DIY kit. But they're releasing the 860 Mark II, which is the successor to this. So this is based on the Jupiter 6 filter, and this thing has like, it's in high demand. So if you can find one, pre-order it, get one. Detroit Modular has them on pre-order. I would recommend getting this filter. I don't even need it, and I pre-ordered one just because I know later on I might use it. So anyway. Back to the thing. Oh yeah, so we were talking about, that was all from low pass gates. Sorry. Who's in here? 6 people still in here. Okay. So low pass gates. So basically why doing this reduction exercise is good is because it exposes you to modules that can multitask. So effectively this sync bucina, whatever. The noise engineering sync is effectively an envelope and a low pass filter, but it's a low pass gate, so it's a little different. And one of the concerns with low pass gates, passive one might not close completely. So that's what my friend Robot Dog was showing me his, and his was still, it was letting a little bit through, but I watched the video on the sync, and there's a few videos, and they had it hooked up to a scope and a Mordax, and there was nothing coming through. So that's what kind of sold me on this. And also it was 4 HP, and that's all I had. So this is the setup that's coming in the near future. I don't know why this is up here. This shouldn't be here, but yep. Also, I replaced the Chronoblob with the Sarajevo. Hopefully this thing will sound really good. It's very promising from what I've heard on videos. Okay, so back to the thing. We're shrinking this thing down. All right, so we got our sub bass voice, low pass gate. We're multitasking with the low pass gate. And honestly, I don't even know if we have enough triggers, which we're just going to put it to the clock. We're going to mult it from the clock, so we'll get 16th note triggers. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're sequencing it from the Pico Seek. So yeah, we're good. We're good on this right here. Okay, EO Wave Domino. Okay, so maybe we are going to use this other VCO. And let's get another filter. We got the Polyvox filter. Let's do this VCF3. I actually don't know what these two sound like. I know the Polyvox is dope, and I don't know. It might actually be better to flip these two around. So, because we don't need any like super character or anything from the sub bass. So, what the heck happened here? Did I lose my voice? No, it ran over here. This modular grid, so finicky, but you know what? It's still worth it. Okay, VCO. I might have these mixed up. It's okay. We're doing the thing. Doesn't matter. VCO, low pass gate. I said we need an envelope, right? Oh, this is starting to look bad now. I don't know if we have our bases covered. Okay, so we got to do a check here. VCO, digital VCO. No, that's going to be our main voice. VCO2, full analog VCO. Perfect. All right. Got the low pass gate. That's going to be on the main voice. And the Polyvox filter. No. Let's use this 24 dB per octave filter. Okay, so that's our sub bass voice. We need an envelope generator. Okay. Okay, sorry, I was getting confused. Okay, so let's get rid of the low pass gate. Let's get an envelope generator. Let's do traditional. I'm just going to guess. Pico EG. Oh, bam, there it is. Voltage controlled EG, Pico EG. Boom. Yes. Yeah, this is a good point. Metatron's Cube, you are totally right. So many tiny modules. Eats up plugs quick too. Yes. And so actually what we should do is check out the Pico skiff. No. We're not in the boats. Okay, so let's look at the Erica Pico case. 42 HP, and then how many modules this thing hold. So 42 HP. Let's shrink this thing down. 14. All right. And then it's got 1.25 both ways. Okay. Ooh. Oh, no, we're good. We're good. Okay, cool. So what did I say? 14, and it was, shoot, how wide was it? 42. All right. So let's go ahead and make our rack 42 wide. Sorry, this is getting kind of long. I wasn't anticipating this taking so long. So this is just for funsies anyways. Just to exercise in shrinking this huge setup down into something like this. All right. And yeah, so now our mixer is going to have to get smaller. Of course. And let's sort that by mixer. AC coupled versus DC coupled. AC is audio, and then DC is direct, so that's going to be CV. Is that right? Tell me I got that right. I'm trying to remember this. AC is for audio, is that right? AC coupled. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you should do one of these too. I'd like to watch how other people approach this kind of thing too. Yeah, because my venture into this is has been very expensive. Lots of buying and selling. For CV, okay, you know what? We're just gonna use this one, the Pico mixer. Okay, so CV's DC. Audio is AC, and the way I remember that is the AC for audio. But we'll use this Pico mixer right here, and we're probably gonna need two of them. So we get drums, and then everything else. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. Come on. And then the FX aid, let's replace that with the Pico Dsp. So Pico Dsp is actually really cool. This is true. It is indeed expensive no matter what you do. Yes. All right. So let's get that in there. And we didn't really gain that much. We only gained 1 HP out of that. So I don't know. I might put that thing back in there. All right, let's get rid of the scalpel. Yeah, so pretty much now, let's see. Let's replace this Vox Digitalis with a Pico, I don't know, CV? No, CV mix. I'm sure they have a CV thing, Pico CV. That's pretty much how it goes, man. You gotta read a lot. You gotta watch a lot of videos, see what everybody else is doing. CV mix, random LFO and random source. That could be useful as a. We'll throw that in there. A logic, switch, voice, triggers, gates. Yeah, I mean, so many modules. But it's funny, like when I first opened up Modular Grid and was like looking at what to do, I was just like blown away. I was like, there's too much stuff. But I mean, you can't really go wrong going with stuff that's pretty known from companies like IntelliJ, Erica Synths, WMD. Yeah, there's a lot. Doper is good stuff. All right. Yeah. And then what's funny is you're going to notice that our setup is going to end up looking pretty similar to something like this, just with drums added. Mod, I bet you that. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go with this. Okay, and let's organize this real quick. Yeah, System 3. Yeah, but and with the System 3, it's all one thing, so you can't change it. So the Pico System 2 had one briefly. It was pretty cool. But that's where I figured out I just hated these tiny knobs, like for tweaking, like for stuff like this set and forget kind of stuff, or like Pico Seeks, like I have no problem with it. I use the button. The random button is pretty much the only thing I use, and sometimes I'll change parameters. But yeah, it's just, I really didn't like it. But the System 2 is like 2.5 times more expensive than the System 3. Yep. Or just get a semi-modular, Behringer Neutron is really good from what I hear. If you got some money to spend, the Moog Mother is dope. DFAM is dope as well. But all right, so let's finish this thing up just to go finish the exercise. So we got our trigger sequencer for 4 drums, and let's move our drums over. Let's move our drums over there, just to get it all in order. Trigger sequencer, 4 drums, and then we need. Let's get these over here. Our sequencer for our sub bass line generator. So we need, I can't remember if this isn't the Polyvox or the analog one, VCO. No, that's not the one we want. We want to use the other one. This is the analog one. Let's use that for our sub bass line. And then we need a filter. And we were using the 24 dB one, which was not the Polybox one. All right. So we got that filter. We need an envelope generator. So, cool. Actually, you could probably get away without using the envelope generator because the sub bass line is just going to be like, you know what I mean? So you don't need to do anything other than modulate pitch. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's get our second voice. This is our main voice. We're going to use the digital one with 32 different voices just so we can change the sounds. Move these over. So there's our main filter. We need an envelope generator for this one. And do we need a VCA? Do we have to have a VCA? Is this an envelope plus a VCA? Metatron's Cube, do you know? Do we need a VCA here? You know what? Let's see. This is dual linear VCA. Okay. So, yep. Let's just do that in case we need 2 VCAs. You can never have enough VCAs is what everybody says. So, let's see. And this would go there. Up next, what are we doing? Sample route, save space, modulate. So, yep. True. Sorry, I forgot to put the sequencer in here for a second VCO. So, we got to do that. 0 VCAs in your setup. That's funny. Because it always says you can never have too many VCAs, and then Metatron's Cube got 0 VCAs. But you know what? I think I have 0 VCAs in my setup too. It's all built in. Oh, sorry. Current rack. Where's the current rack? Yeah, and speaking of samples, like I just replaced. So on this thing, I just replaced. I'm just waiting on the rample to come in. I replaced the clap, the hats, and the cymbals module from Erica Synth. So that's like 26 HP. So I got that down to 14. And really the only reason, like I like the sound of all those, the Erica stuff, the only reason is just to get more variation. You know, after playing over 52, 54, 53, whatever it is, 50-something live sets with the Erica hats, I was like, I'm starting to get tired of the sound of it. So I needed a way to change it up. Current set. Was that what I was showing you? Yeah. So yeah, no VCs. Actually, Performance Mixer has VCA. These are technically VCAs and they can be modulated. So you can CV these. So yeah, sort of. Cool. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up. VCO, VCF, envelope generator, dual VCA, just in case we need it, and because you can never have enough. We have 1 DSP and 2 mixers. Let's say we didn't need the VCA, and we would opt for a CV modulator, random modulation, and there we go. There's our Erica Pico Techno system in 42 HP. So theoretically, we went from this to this. Maybe not as feature rich, but I bet you this would get the job done. Also, no side chaining, which this setup doesn't have a side chain. All I'm doing is sending an envelope out of the PAM's workout, and it is controlling the VCAs of, for example, the sub. I have it attached to, I've molted to the lead, the hats, the ride, and the reverb. And all that's coming out of just this one little thing right there. So that's how I get sidechain in my setup. There's better ways and more complicated ways to do it, but that was just kind of like an exercise in just trying to get it done. I do wish I had a little more control over the envelope shape. It's not perfect the way I got it, but it does the job. So yes, the WMD mixer is so awesome. Like, it does so many things, and I'm just like, oh, So I didn't have any more inputs, and I was like, oh, I need to run this record sample, this vinyl sample somewhere, and it's just gonna run all the time. And so I just put it in the return input, in this left return input over here, and it just goes to the main mix, and it just sits there and it lives there. And to control the volume, I ran it to I think I ran it to the stereo mixer here, but you could use any attenuator or mixer or whatever. And so it goes from here to here and then into that one little input. And it's like, wow, like that's not what it's intended for. But it's just another input channel that's available. So that's just one thing that happened with the performance mixer that was so cool. I was like, wow. And then I had mentioned that to somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, you can use the Q output as another aux send if you want, and then you can return them to these channels here or whatever channels you want. It's like, what? Yeah, I mean, this mixer is so cool. And like, I was skeptical at first because yes, it is expensive and there's no EQ. And I was weary about not having two aux sends knobs, but yeah, man, like this thing is just so dope. Like everything has been working out great. The one upgrade I did do was I got the mutes module. This should actually be over here. Got the mutes module just so I could get CV control over the auxes. And the only reason I wanted CV control of the auxes is not to modulate them, but it was just because I didn't want to turn these little tiny knobs. And then I used the 410 for that. So I can just move these sliders instead of moving these little tiny knobs. I don't even use the mute feature. I just use it to get that functionality out of it. But the benefit is that you can do multiple at the same time. So like I throw this up, and this actually controls the overseer filter. So I do a low cut there with this one, and then this one is set to the clap reverb aux send. So that's how I throw it up, and then I get the thing, and then the reverb, and then drop it down real quick, and then we're back in. But yeah, that's really funny. And then the master send and return, that's how I route my to get my master. I just go out the sends and then go through the tritone, the overseer, and the compressor or the muscle, and then return it here. And then yeah, I mean, it's so good. And it has multiple outputs. Like these outputs still work even though I use the DB25 outputs. I use the stereo outputs here just because it gives me 1/4-inch cables, but could use these outputs for something like, and then the mono output, and then I mean you can CV the pan. Like it's just such a powerful mixer. Anyway, I also have the 2-channel the extension that extends 2 channels, and it has all these features. But I just don't have room for it. So I would like to put it in there, and I don't have the voices for it right now anyway. So it would just be sitting there, but cool. Whew. So that was a lot. Let me double check, make sure we retained all this functionality. I think what happened here though, with this DSP mixer, it's just going to have to be like a master effects thing. Like we can't use it as a send. So let's double check here. So 1, 2 for 4 drums. That's 2. We need 1 for the bass, 1 for the voice, and then yeah, technically we do have. So wait, 4, 1, 2, 3. We got to go the output into here. 4, and then a mono. So yeah, what we're gonna do there is we're just actually gonna run out of this the lead voice. After, I don't know if it would go from the filter or if it would go out of it'd go out of the filter. So go out of the lead filter into the DSP, and then we just tweak the wet dry manually, and that's gonna take up one of the ends. So drum sub drum sub out of here into the second mixer, and then main voice, and then we just have an extra input, and then main out, and we're in mono, by the way. So cool. That was fun. I do recommend doing this exercise just to see what you can do, and it's kind of fun. With my setup, like I just move this stuff around and I try out different modules and stuff. And actually, let's go back to. I'll just show you kind of what I do. For example, I was like, there's this company, Modular MDLR cases, that has a travel case that's 94 HP wide, but it is 12 HP tall, and this all folds up into supposedly an airline carry-on viable size. So I was just playing around. I put my whole setup in here, and I was like, wow, I have extra space to do this other stuff, So you lose the 1 euros that the IntelliGel rack has, but it's all good. So now you can use these bigger delays or whatever. But yeah, just playing around. See, I got my channels extension in here and stuff, and somebody recommended the new Metropolis, and it has a gate sequencer add-on to it, so you could put that in there. It's just fun, just messing around. It's kind of like, it's funny because I used to play Magic the Gathering. Was like Junior Super Series finalist or something like that. So I was pretty serious about it. But it's just like, you're a kid, you got your trading cards, and you're just reorganizing them and stuff. And that's kind of what this feels like, just adult trading cards. Speaking of which, Magic and Pokemon is just like blowing up in price. It's killing me, actually. I had like a crazy valuable collection. But all right, so yeah, that was super fun. Hopefully that helps anybody that hasn't done this before. Yeah, definitely recommend Modular Grid. Get on there. Check out some racks. Like, look at what's popular. If you're not into modular, you can just you're pretty safe with any of this stuff. The popular modules, and then like the top modules. Like, here's a new one. Why is this Frap Tools Sapel? What is this? Random source. Yeah, so it's probably going to be like the new Maths or something like that. Maths is super popular, as you can see. It's in everybody's rack. Yeah, so this is like a good place to start. You look at these company names, you see what's good. Mannequins, super popular if you're into techno. Surgeon's Rack uses a few Mannequin staple modules. Hard to get. You have to pre-order, and they only come out like every few months, or at least the availability that I've seen. Cool. And then this is the other thing. You can see other people's racks. So Richard, is it Divine or Devine? I like Divine. I think Richard Divine is a dope name. So yeah. But Jocko, let's check out her rack. She's got a cool setup. So we got a 303 module. Interesting. Yep. I've heard good things about the M303. Piston Honda. I couldn't choose between the Piston Honda and the Hertz Donut, so I just I'll go with the Piston Honda. What is this? The Nebulae V2 granular sample. Okay, cool. So this setup is definitely like more of a traditional, looks more traditional, like a couple of voices, and then you can modulate the crap out of everything. You got a VCF. What is this? Voltage control crossfader. That's interesting. So I guess you can flip between two sound sources. Tritone EQ, looks familiar. A VCA, FX8 XL. There's two of them, so one for effects and maybe one for like a reverb or something. Do whatever you want with it. And you know what? Actually, this rack has changed. This looks a little different than what I saw the other day. Dual passive low pass gate. So like I said, low pass gates are popular. Wireless CV interface, Ableton Link. I think that's what she uses it for, is the Ableton feature. What is this? CV interface. Okay, cool. And let's go back over here. Mutant Brain, MIDI, I believe. This is like a MIDI, is a sequencer. CV and gate, trigger. Cool, yep. Clock divider, trigger. Yeah, that's interesting. So you can change the clock pulses. Sample and hold. Yep. Some modulation stuff. Random. Yep. Noise, random. Like, this is lots of modulation stuff. Voltage control switch. I don't even know. Dixie 2. Okay, this is the oscillator, but judging by where it's at in the setup, so the voices are up here, I bet you this is being used as a LFO as opposed to a VCO. But I heard it was a good analog VCO as well. Quadrax. I've heard a lot about this thing too. And I don't know if it was to be like an envelope. Yeah, I guess you could use that as an LFO, but also an envelope kind of feature thing. Maths. Yeah, modulation source. Ornament and Crime, super popular. I never got to mess with one, but it can do a bunch of things. Disting Mark IV, this thing does a bunch of stuff. It can do effects, it can do modulation, it could be envelope, it could be LFO, it could be all kinds of stuff. So mixer with aux input. Oh, this is cool. Might have to check this one out. Aux in. So do you have an aux? Where's the aux out? Usually an auxiliary is aux send, and then you have a return. Okay, so auxiliary in. I don't know what that's for. Okay, scalpel, yep, EQ, and then muscle, master bus compressor. So this muscle thing is like, so it's based on the DBX 160, and I think it's like one of the only, it's got to be the only compressor that's this small, 4 HP, that sounds good. And I like it, so that's cool. And then this is just like an output, stereo line balanced output. Yep, cool. So this is definitely centered around these two voices, and then doing crazy things with those voices. So that's a little different than my setup, which is like Groovebox, Techno box, especially in the current configuration. So this is like analog rhythm plus maybe like a bass line, which is like the Erica Synths Techno system. Kind of the same idea. But okay, folks, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Let's see, anybody still? Yep, 5 people here. Cool, it's been super fun. Thanks so much for hanging out. This is really neat. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening to me talk. Welcome to the talk show. But yeah, see you guys next time. Next week, the rig is changing up a lot, and then we'll see a lot more of the stream. So cheers, everybody.